love your descriptions. You always go sort of a little bit.
I go with what I taste because I think it's really important because everybody's a douchebag when they talk about wine. It's got to be all this like this and that, and it's like this tastes. I mean, to me, this really does taste like a grape now and later, like quite a bit, and like it comes natural to me. Flavors. I grew up with wine. Yeah, I feel comfortable with it. Cinderella wine is in the whole deal of the day stuff.
But that whole thing, even the way you describe wine, that's I think in Wine Library TV, you make it really accessible to people, right? When people say, "Oh, there's a lot of tobacco," or "There's leather,"
Cassis.
leather. Like, why would I want to be tasting leather, right? But
and listen, I say things that people don't want to be tasting. I mean, I did a show earlier today, and I compared one wine to like a sweaty jock strap in your mouth. I mean, I don't think anybody here is going to be like, "Yes, let's go get it." I just think that you got to describe it in a way people understand. I mean, there's a lot of people who are watching who don't know what cassis is, or when you use terms like terroir, it throws them off.
Right, but so you.
But I use those terms too. I want to be respected in my craft.
Right, but you've made wine a lot accessible to a lot bigger audience. So. And now with Cinderella Wine, which is a daily deal site, I think it's very interesting. But I really want to hear sort of what your experience has been with that, because I almost feel like it's too much. Like I get the deal every day, but I don't buy wine every day.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think all these companies, I'm spending an enormous amount of time looking at the business models of living. You know, I'm a retailer at heart, right? So like I told you, Woot.com, right? Watching Living Social and Guild Group and Ideally, a company we consulted for, a fashion site here that just raised some money. I saw, they're going to have to really figure out how not to become spammy and how to retain consumers. I mean, what I wrote about in this book is lifetime value, and I think a lot of these guys.
I'm getting some cork in there.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Well, that's what happened when you screwed up the cork.
That was my fault. That was my fault.
I think a lot of these guys understand how to acquire users. I think the acquisition of consumers might be on the verge of being mapped. A lot of A/B testing. I'm obsessed with UI, UX guys, all that kind of stuff. The gaming guys, they understand that. I think the battlefield is going to be retention and lifetime value.
So how's that working for you? How's Cinderella Wine working for you?
It's working extremely well for us. We're selling lots and lots of wines, good margin. We debate if it's bastardizing our core wine library business, though I wouldn't mind if that became our business. I'm not like emotionally attached to one thing. I don't think we're coming up with I'm coming up with a new version of it that is a little bit more into game dynamics about leveling up, and so I feel like I haven't spent enough time on it. I executed it, and the management team is executing it. I don't think there's enough smarts behind it. I think we could do a better job. It's extremely, listen, we're selling hundreds and hundreds of cases a day. The company's going to do tens of, 10 million, and real numbers, $10 million in revenue, but how much of that came out of Wine Library's pocket, and how much is that market share penetration we're gaining?
So contrast your strategy, which is a wine a day. You pick a great wine. And I mean, it's really kind of risky. You've got to have every wine has to be a great wine, because if anyone has a bad experience, they're not going to do it again.
It's like your last at bat. Right. I mean,
and I've done it a few times, and they're always excellent.
I appreciate it.
Excellent wines.
But everybody has their own palate. I mean, everybody has their own palate.
Right.
So you're not going to always be.
But there's another approach. I've also been trying Lot 18, which is more like a guilt group of wine, where
membership.
It's membership, and then you go, and there's 6 choices, and they're there for like a week.
24 to 48 hours.
So you can kind of think about it, or.
And do you like that better?
Or whatever.
It's okay, by the way. I'm super unemotional, so.
It's not that I like it better. I feel like it makes it feel less like an impulse purchase, and I'm not sure that wine is an impulse. Sometimes it is an impulse purchase.
But you're getting an email every day from them.
You
are. I mean, I'm on the list, so I know it's coming.
I guess so, but you know what? I ignore the emails.
Because you know it's sitting there for a week.
Yeah, I know it's sitting there.
Listen, the psychology. I went to a Summit Series, that boat thing, and I met this kid who created Farm Game, which became Farmville, and as soon as I I was like, what did you create? And I sat with him for like 4 hours, and just the psychology of all this stuff. The reason I'm so obsessed with I just mentioned UX, UI, different color buttons, this psychology, listening to what you're saying about this. Listen, these are all things I'm learning every day. We're testing, we're trying new things. I respect that. I mean, it very much may be, the funniest part is I'm going in a totally different direction with what we're about to push out in, let's say, next 3 months. And I could be totally wrong, but based on things I'm seeing and trends, I think it's going to work, where it's inducing more of your friend base. I'm also looking at...
So tell me about that.
This is why you're good at what you're doing. I think there's a way to have the masses. If you go back and look at something I posted 3 years ago, there was a website I registered called Power Crowd. There was a trend in China 4 or 5 years ago, before this whole Groupon thing that came at FOA 2008. I came up with this idea with Amy Hoy, who's a designer. She's great. Dave Warren was there, his first talk for Facebook, Kevin Rose, Eric Kastner, the developer I told you about, and I came up with this concept of
was that in
Power
Miami?
Crowd. No, this was in London.
Okay.
And this before Carson came to the U.S. And I heard about what's going on in China, where a leader would come into a store and say, "We want that television," and then he would say, "Me and my 900 friends," and there would be 900 people that would show up in a place, flash mob, and try to negotiate the deal. So I wanted to do this thing called Power Crowd, where we were going to do something similar in the U.S., where I was going to build a list on Facebook, and there'd be a ringleader, and it would be reverse deal of the day, where we would curate, we'd walk into Best Buy and be like, "We want the Xbox, but us 1,900 people, we want it cheaper." So I've always been fascinated with the power of a crowd.
Right.
I'm thinking about launching a wine website where there's a deal, and the crowd can dictate how cheap it can get.
So the more people who sign up for it, the lower the price.
I've pretty much given it away. So
yeah, I like
that's why you're good at what you do. So it's kind of these are the things I'm thinking about. I think there's cheesy gaming dynamics. I think there's good gaming dynamics.
Right.
I think I'm obsessed with the end user. We're trying to humanize it more and more. One of the things we're thinking about is more personalized concierge service stuff.
Right.
I've been thinking a lot more about an email service where it's only 2,000 people.
So here's my other thing about the wine services, which I think they're really great because they really encourage you to try wines that you maybe wouldn't buy otherwise. Not because they're too expensive, but at a certain price point, you feel like this had better be a really great wine, otherwise
I'm going to be pissed.
I'm wasting $50, $60,
Listen,
right?
it's exciting for me to see things like Lot 18 because, Philip James has been with Snooth. He's been around this space a long time. I know the other guy's a big deal. I just don't know him as well. They've executed well. People ask me about that and any other thing that has to do with wine. I hope those guys sell for $1 trillion to Groupon or whatever their goals are. Or, there's a competitive part of me because I'm in the same space, but there's so much room for everybody in this stuff.
But my question is that, okay, so you introduced me to a wine, right? And then I really like it.
You want more things that look like Pandora.
Or maybe more recommendations that are similar.
That's a big thing.
How do you then
connect the dots?
Connect me to that winery.
Mobile. I think so Daily Grape. A lot of you guys know me from Wine Library TV. That's what kind of brought me to this world. I started Daily Grape.
Can I have some?
Yeah, you like it? Yeah. I came to this world, Wine Library TV brought me to the forefront, brought me my attention. I've now started something called Daily Grape. It's super mobile. You watch the show, you see a wine you like, you add it to your wish list, and you're now walking around with wines that you want to try. You can review them. We're checking that out, going in that Pandora direction, and a lot of stuff you're talking about right now is what I'm building with Daily Grape. I'll give you another scoop. If you go to GoDaddy, you'll see that I own something called Monthly Grape. Monthly Grape, okay. So I'm up to things. I'm always trying to innovate. I feel like a lot of people see me out there and they think, I always wonder of how much of the debate is I'm a talking head, I'm an author. I'll be honest with you. This stuff is I'm getting very antsy to being a talking head doing this kind of stuff. I'm an operator. I feel like I want to go back in the trenches and do some more operating.